Alright, everyone, let's get started with the stream. Hey everyone, my name is Julian Sanders. Oops, sorry. Hello everyone, my name is Julian Sanderson, and today we're going to be streaming a live Forex analysis for the week of April 9th to the April 14th. Hope everyone had a great trading week last week, and yeah, let's start to jump in and start in the markets. Give me a second. I would like to put a quick disclaimer before we actually start is that I am not responsible for any profit gains or any losses, just to put that out there. So with that being said, let's jump into the market. Alright, so the first one, of course, that we're going to start off with is Euro USD. And as of last week, it did very well with price action right here at the support area of the 106. As you see right here, we got a nice bearish engulfing, and we had a nice move to the downside. So what we're really looking for right now is a little push down to the 105 zone, and just got to get that bullish evidence of a retrace. Either it could be on the 4-hour chart, 1-hour chart, but mostly I'm looking on the daily chart for that daily momentum. And I'm just looking for a reverse in this area. And as soon as we get that bullish evidence, I just want to push up to these little highs that's look here onto the left, these lows looking left, this previous high, or just probably potentially reverse all the way back up to the 106. But be in mind that we have a nice resistance point in this area, in the 107 area. Alright, next up we have, without Euro USD, we got to do US Swiss, right? So on the US Swiss, on a daily chart, what we're just really looking for is where the market is testing right now. And we're just looking for bearish evidence in this area. Jumping down to the 4-hour chart, you probably would get a more clear sense of how everything would actually look at. So what we're just looking for is that bearish evidence in this area for a continuation to the downside for this reverse. And as soon as we get that bearish evidence, we want to see a nice push down probably to these highs looking left, or these lows, or even probably potentially even down to these lows right here, this measuring point of the 99.5 zone, or even potentially actually jumping all the way down to the 99.0 zone. And that it will be it for that pair. Next up we have is AUD USD. And last week I actually got stopped out on this, so I got kind of missed out on this movement. But I'm hoping to actually jump into this market this week. So for this week, what I'm really looking for is bullish evidence in this area at the 75.02 zone. And as soon as we get that bearish evidence in this area where the market is actually testing right now, I'm just seeing a nice push up to these lows, highs, or these lows right here, looking left, or even potentially all coming all the way up to the 76.99 zone. That shall be it for that market. I mean, we can actually go down to the 4-hour chart too. As you actually see that as we look more to the left, we have another touch down here as support, another touch right here as a support, the resistance, resistance, and resistance. So it's a very important area to really look out for. So just be in mind of how the market is actually testing this one out. So mostly what I'm going to be doing this week on AUD USD is actually looking on a 4-hour to an hour and trying to get a nice entry in where the market is actually testing right now, and just really just hold it for buy. But we're going to see how that actually plays out. All right, so next up we have is gold, and with gold, it failed to actually engulf these previous dailies and break out of this little zone right here. If I move this a little bit upward, it really having a trouble time to breaking out of this zone. And from the news, what I heard on Friday with Syria and the missile launches, it really affected the market so much. That's why we had like a strengthening in the dollar and a decrease in the commodities. For right now, um, really, really strong condolences for everyone. But moving on to the analysis with gold is that what we're just really looking for right now, since it failed to break out of this and we have strong sellers in this market, what I'm just really looking for is a nice, more bearish evidence in this area for a continuation down. So since it closed out as a pin bar, I'm either looking for a, a bearish candle right after, or just an engulfing, and I will be doing a sell position on this particular pair. And as soon as we get that push down, I'm probably gonna have a first take profit at the 1241 zone. As you see that it hold up as resistance and support, or probably the 1225. As you see, as a hold as a little support right here and little resistance, or probably my longest term trade term would probably be around 1215, and that would be some of my target price in this pair. Well, that is for gold. Next up we have is silver. The same thing like with gold. I'm just looking for bearish evidence. It didn't really give me a clear sight of what's going on here. It did test that 1843 zone, but I just want another bearish confluence for me to convince me to take this as a sell trade. So I would like to get for it to actually retrace back to these highs right here and just give me a nice clear bearish evidence that it wants to continue down. And if we actually get a continuation downward or a bearish confluence in this area after a retest, what I'm just really looking for is these tests to these lows right here, looking left, or potentially coming all the way back down to the 1731 zone. Alright, next up we have is US CAD. And with US CAD, where the market is at the moment, is in a pivot point of at the 134 zone. So what we're just looking for is, I want to point out 2 points. If we actually get a push up, bear in mind these little highs looking left, I would like a push up all the way up to the 135 zone. And if you get a push up to that 135 zone, what I'm looking for is bearish confluence. And when we go straight to that bearish confluence, what I'm looking for is a push to these previous high, or potentially even coming back all the way down to the 132 zone. My second point I would like to highlight, if the market actually comes down to test the 132 zone, what I'm really looking for is bullish confluence in this area and bullish evidence, and a push up. Bear in mind this high right here in these lows. I want to get a nice push up to all the way up to either this high or potentially even higher to the 135 zone. And that will be it for US CAD. I'm not really going to be trading oil until I get a clear sign what's going on. But in the most evidential, what I think that may happen this week, we may just get a retest, since it actually broke out of this 51 zone. Get a nice retest to this 51 area, And what we're just really going to be looking for is bullish evidence. And when we get straight to that bullish evidence, is either we're going to go up to these all-time high right here. Well, not all-time high, but this strong resistance point right here at the 54, I believe. Yeah. So 54, 53, these highs or these lows, and probably make continuation even higher. But that's what I would actually like to look out for. Next up we have is CAD Swiss, and CAD Swiss is almost about to test this the small measuring point of the 75 zone. So what we're really looking for is bearish evidence in this area, and I'd like to highlight two key points in this market. So what I would actually like to look for is a nice push up to the 75 zone and get more bearish confluence in this area. We can actually jump down to the 4-hour. As you see that we have a nice double top right here, but I want to see it to push up and really test this area and get that bullish evidence. And showing that we get straight to that bullish evidence, I would actually like it for it to push down all the way down to these previous low right here, this all-time low at the 73 zone, 73.76, 73.66, sorry, or potentially these lows right here, which was at the 74.36 zone. Another key point I would like to highlight is that if the market actually breaks out of this zone, I'm looking for probably a nice retest. So what I would look for if it actually break out of this zone. It's a little mess right now. So what we actually look for, if it actually does break out of this this resistance support, we'll just look for that retest. And if it hold as a support, may just get bullish evidence and a push all the way up to these lows, or all the way up to the 77.07 zone. And that's where I would actually look for bearish evidence and a continuation down to these previous lows, or to that pullback high, or potentially even all the way back down to the 75 zone. Those are two key points I would actually want to highlight for this week. Alright, so next up we have is USJPY, and with a negative correlation of gold, we're probably going to be looking for a position to buy. So I was just looking on the 1-hour to all the way to the daily chart, and what I'm just really looking for is a push up and a retest in this area. So looking down onto the hour chart. So what I'm really looking for is for you to get the clear picture is a breakout of this zone, this small minor resistance zone, and we're just looking for a retest at the 111.34 zone. And as soon as we get that retest, just looking for that bullish evidence for continuation upward, and probably all the way up to these previous high, this high right here at the 112.11 zone, or even potentially all the way up to the 112.76 zone. And that would be it for US JPY. Next up we have is AUD CAD, which actually performed very well on price action, and with that heads and shoulders pattern, and for it to actually jump down all the way down in this area. for retest. So what we're just looking for is bullish evidence in this area where the market is testing at the moment. And we get straight to that bullish evidence in this area. Probably want to see a push up to these lows right here, or to these highs, or even potentially even higher to the 103 zone. Next up we have is AUD JPY on the daily chart. Oh, I was looking on the weekly for more bearish evidence. So I would like to point that out as well. I was looking at this on a weekly chart for a long-term sell trade. And for those that's actually missed the opportunity to get into this market on a sell, that I think this week going into next week would be pretty perfect. So looking on a weekly chart, we got two nice bearish engulfing candles. So for those that's actually holding long-term sell trades, that I'm actually holding 80.72 zone as a long target price for this pair. And for those that's actually missed out the opportunity to get into this, as you see, as I drew this trend line right here, that we have a small support area, and what just happened was that the market actually closed below um, this weekly support. So what we're just really looking for is a retest to the 34.030 zone. And as soon as we get that retest in this small area, is that we're going to see that bearish evidence, or look for that bearish evidence in that area, and for a continuation either further down. And that would pretty much be it for AUD JPY. Next up we have Nzd USD. As you see that it actually broke out of this zone where I was looking for bullish evidence and I was holding this sell trade. So I would like to point out another zone right here for those that's actually holding sell trades. I was putting this as a target price. So what we were looking for this week is a push down all the way down to the 68.80 zone. And as soon as we get that push down, just looking for that bullish evidence in the area, and probably see a push all the way up to the 69.88 zone. Sorry. And just look for even more bullish evidence in this area. And if we get straight to that bullish evidence in that area, probably see a push up to this high or to these lows looking left, or even potentially even higher. Also like to point out that since we're in a strong downtrend, we're probably going to see a pullback, and with that pullback we want to see that bearish evidence in this area, that the 69.88 zone. You can see a push all the way down to that 66.88. Next up we have is CAD JPY, and what I'm just really looking for this week is I'm still looking for that retest in the area, and for that retest I'm just looking for that market to actually come up all the way up to this to the 85.076 65 zone, and just really getting that bearish evidence, and we get straight to that bearish evidence. Excuse me. As soon as we actually get that bearish evidence, we want to see that push down all the way to this low, or these previous lows, or even potentially even lower, where I'm just really looking out for in this market. I won't really, I won't really actually touch this market until it actually comes back to test out this zone right here, or probably this high right here, to see if it's going to be a new support or resistance. Next up we have is Euro AUD, where I'm looking on a daily chart, and where I think what it's actually doing is performing a heads and shoulders. We got the left shoulder, we got the head right here, and I feel like it's going to be starting to make the right shoulder right here. And what I'm really looking for this week is probably another test up to these highs right here, what is important in the area, this 141 zone. And as soon as we get that push up into that area, and I'm looking for bearish evidence and for a continuation all the way down to these highs and these lows, or all the way down to the 137 zone right here. Next up we have is Euro CAD, and where the market is actually testing up, I'm looking for bullish evidence in the area. I'm looking on a 4-hour for my entry. And if we get that bullish evidence into this area, we want to see a push up all the way to these highs, these lows looking left, or these highs, or potentially all the way up here to this all-time high, which is right here, or potentially even higher. But I would like to point out, while looking left, that we have a minor support right here, and it touched numerous of times, but this is like a small measuring point in this particular pair. But just really being mindful that the market may actually come up and jump all the way back down to that um, 142 zone right here. But if it actually does break out of this area, I'm just looking for another push up all the way up to this high or even higher. Next thing we have is GBP, GBP USD. Looking on the daily chart, and as you see, we have a strong bearish candle. And what I'm really looking for this week, since we know that sellers are in the market, and what we're looking for is a push all the way down to the 122 zone right here. So as we get to the 122 zone, we're looking for bullish evidence. Go straight to the bullish evidence on a daily 4-hour hour chart. Want to see a push all the way up to these lows right here, these highs, or potentially even higher to the 126 zone. Also like to point out another measuring point is that 126 zone. If the market actually does come back up to retest the zone, we're looking for bearish evidence in the area, and potentially even all the way down to these lows, these highs, or all the way down to the 122 zone. Next up we have is JB, GBP JPY, excuse me. And what I'm looking for is on a weekly chart for a long-term trade. And as you see previously with price action, we have bearish engulfings for a continuation all the way, for a continuation down, for that the sellers are in the market. And what I'm just really looking for is probably going to be doing the sell limit around this area. Or yeah, let me change this. So I'm just going to be looking for a sell limit, probably around this area, or I'm probably going to be doing a sell stop. But just bear in mind of this low right here and these highs. And I just want to see how this market actually played out. But since it actually closed out in engulfing, I will be trading this. And looking on a daily, it's a little bit choppy, but it's still in this downward trend. And I can say it's like a downward wedge, really. So just really looking out for is for a breakout in this zone. Looking for a breakout. So I probably may do a sell stop around this area and a sell limit right here, and see how that plays out. And just to put a note for everyone that's actually do sell limit or sell stops, please actually do risk only 1 to 3% of your account. Just to bear in mind with risk reward. Next up we have is Gbp Aud, and with Gbp Aud is still at my little pivot point in the area between these two areas. So what I'm just really looking for is still a test up to the 167 zone and get that bearish evidence and really coming down to these highs and these lows looking left, or potentially even lower, coming down even lower. Or if the market actually may come down and test out this area, this 160 area or these highs, just looking for bullish evidence and seeing the continuation upward to the 167 zone. Just waiting for it to come up to either one of these two important areas before I even take a trade. Next up we have is Nzd and Gbp Nzd. So what we're really looking for this week is on a 4-hour chart is a push up, and as we get that push up to that area, to this area of the 178 zone, what we're really looking for is push down all the way down to these lows right here, these highs, these lows, or potentially coming all the way down to the 174 zone. So I'm just looking for a push up around this area on a 4-hour chart, get that bearish evidence, and see a continuation downward. Last but not least, I have USD Peso. So what I'm looking for, I'm looking on a 4-hour chart. I was looking at a daily chart as well. I'm looking on a 4-hour. How it actually came down and it broke out of this resistance zone, and it came up to really test it. What I'm looking for is bullish evidence in this area right here. I'm looking for bearish evidence in this area. If we get straight to that bearish evidence, we want to see a continuation all the way down. Do it on a daily. So what we're going to be looking for is a continuation downward. Oh my goodness. There we go. Continuation all the way down to the 1825 zone, which was actually my long-term long-term target price, but I actually got stopped out. My trailing stop loss actually got stopped out when I actually put it below this low right here, and the market just took it. So what I'm looking forward to for a re-entry in this particular pair is for another breakout and a retest to this all-time low right here. This is strong support. And as soon as it comes down to that strong support, I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area and a push all the way up to that 19. These lows, these highs looking left, or just potentially just retracing all the way back up. Alright guys, so this actually concludes the Forex analysis of this week. I wanted to say thank you for taking your time out to actually come and watching the stream. A review, a refollow is duly appreciated. For those that's actually starting to learn more about the markets and you want to learn more, just visit my site, juliansanderson.com, click on learn, and you actually get more information on how to actually be a part of this training that I'm actually doing. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great trading week this week, and I will see you at the next Forex analysis. Take care, everyone.